reality where it's like, you cannot live like this, Lindsay. Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I wanted to like have a normal life, but like have all the drugs and be normal, and it like doesn't work that way.
Some does.
It was very
some well, more doesn't.
yeah. But yeah, so to sum that up, we are accepting of 12 steps or not 12 steps. My view is that different things work for different people. Aw, look who it is. Little heathen. Hi. What's he doing? What are you doing? Chilling.
I think they're getting relaxed for the night before school or bedtime for school. So
Friday tomorrow.
yeah, some of the Miley's son's school is canceled already. We're supposed to get like a half a foot of snow tonight.
What? Really?
So, yeah, so I was kind of hoping they would be off too, but their school hasn't made the call yet.
Not cool. So cute. I've never seen snow. I'm so jealous of you guys.
Oh, he's a pretty damn cool kid. I'm pretty damn proud of him.
Aw. Were you just making something? What was the noise?
Yeah, what? Did I drink something?
God, it's our new friend. It's our new friend, Danny.
Hey, what's up? The heathen.
The heathen. What's happening, man? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
This is so I was telling everybody, like as I was rambling for a while, I was telling them a little bit about you, but I said I don't want him to tell his story yet until he comes on and we officially have you tell the story. And you're my guy for figuring out these microphones. We're gonna get it set up so that you can come in person and do a podcast. But we're just talking about, what are we talking about?
Well, I don't know. I haven't been paying attention this entire time.
All right.
I know where I am right now. Like,
talk about, but yeah, I got you both covered with the. Well, I got you, Lindsay, covered with the mics for sure.
Yeah,
So,
I told Scott that you wanted to link up with him too. So
yeah, no, definitely do. Definitely love to have you on our podcast, and you know, both of yous love that. Like to get our audience to hear your stories as well.
Did you say use?
Yeah, I did. I went Jersey on you.
That was pretty
Use
cool.
guys.
Awesome.
Yep. But I'm in Florida now, so I got to start with the y'all.
Do I say y'all?
Yeah, only all the time.
No, I don't. I say like.
Oh, you say like a lot.
Yeah.
See?
Like y'all.
I don't say y'all.
Y'all come back.
Like, it's so
y'all
annoying.
get some recovery.
Oh hell no.
Oh hell no.
So you texted me earlier and you said something about you feel me. I'm like, no, I really don't understand what you're saying.
What? You don't know what that means?
No, you know, listen, I'm a little older, so
How old are you?
Huh?
How old are you again? Just for
I can't tell people that.
Okay.
39. Yep.
That's
I love you, bro.
Yeah, I got you.
39. I love you.
You're only a couple years older than me, so you should know. I said, so Sky, I texted him and I said, it's hard out on the streets for a real G. Feel me? He didn't know what I meant.
Yeah, I'm not up on this, man.
What do you mean? I said, you feel me.
Well, no, I understand feel me, but I didn't understand the whole G thing.
Oh, well,
I know, you know.
G version.
Oh, okay.
But
I gotta get up on this stuff. You know what I mean?
G for
just get in messaging with Lindsay long enough, and it gets worse.
It's really bad.
So,
no, you know, it's so funny. Growing up, you know, we had our own language, and our parents said, you know, I don't get it.
Right.
Now I've reached that age, and I'm like, what am I? Oh, my son said, Dad, that's lit. I'm like, what?
I
I'm like,
started
what is,
saying that to make fun of it. It's funny.
yeah. And I just learned like what fire meant,
Oh, fire. Yeah.
you know?
That's fire. Oh, that's booty cheeks. That's the one
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I hear all the time. Booty cheeks.
Mm-hmm.
Silas has been saying that. That's a thing.
Yeah.
What,
Clearly,
booty?
your son is cool.
Yeah, he is pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my,
He's in.
he is cool.
Yeah.
That's dog water.
So,
Have you heard dog water yet?
No.
That's dog water. That's another one that my kids use all the time.
What does it mean?
It's not good. It's not good.
that's bad.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
He says some weird stuff. I'll say that. And
Mhm.
so we're talking about, just different stuff here. And is that Lonnie? I haven't seen him in a while. Hey Lonnie. So they've got 290 people in here, and hey Dave, let me get some topics, you guys, or I'm gonna be annoying. We did a minute of meditation earlier, a moment of silence.
Cool. I could have used that.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I just got done, hitting up a meeting.
What was the topic?
Well, yeah, I had to bring people up there and do that, and that was awesome. Good meeting. It's always it's like fishing, like a bad day of fishing is always better than a good day at work. Same thing with meetings.
Yeah.
I like that.
So
Cool.
there was some good messages. It's always great. And, it just brings you back. Like, it doesn't matter if you have, you just back in the rooms or you got 20. It's just one of those situations where you can learn from both. And it always is one day at a time, no matter what you do. That's the way I look at it. There's days I take it one moment at a time. I seriously do. I don't even think about tomorrow.
Yeah, it is. It's like that's that universal, that connection, that spiritual connection. Whenever I do go to a meeting, I feel that with everybody. It's like I'm back at the starting point where this all began. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Let's see some questions here. Rachel said, how do you approach talking about past addictions with your kids? It's something I'm going to
Their door is still locked.
The men are getting wild.
Give me a minute.
Men.
Sorry about that. What was the question?
I put it on the screen. Rachel said, how do you approach talking about past addictions with your kids? It's something I'm going to have to do eventually.
Oh, wow. I have a 15-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old son. And I tell you what, it is one of the most frightening experiences of not telling them, but just thinking, are they going to follow in my footsteps? Or is this a genetic thing? You got the whole disease thought. Am I passing that on? There's a lot of conversations. The one thing I did with my kids when I finally hit recovery was just be honest, at their level. I wasn't going to sit down and give them all the details, but I had to be truthful with them so they really understand and they appreciate it. And I remind them all the time, I get nervous. Like if my daughter was to go and take like 3 Tylenol, she's supposed to only take 2. In my head, I'm like right away panicking, like, oh my God, she's headed down that addiction path.
Yeah.
So yeah, without a doubt. And, for a parent, let me tell you, for the rest of your life, you're always going to be nervous about your kids and worry about your kids. You know that already. It's just going to be something I'm at that age, even my mother, and I'm not going to say it yet, but I'm sure my mother gets nervous about things, and it's just normal. It's being a parent, and that shows that how much you love your child, or children.
Absolutely.
But I was just very open and honest with them and told them, like, look, you know, if it's a genetic thing, you could have it. If it's a disease and it's in your blood or whatever, you know, you could have it. Or if it's an environmental thing, you know, that could be something that, you know, of course you could change.
Yeah.
You know, people, places, and things. But I mean, for me, it was just being honest with them. I sat down with them and said, look what happened to me when the trajectory of my life, where it went as soon as I started doing these things. It went down that path. Look where it led me.
Mhm.
You know, it's just, you know, I grew up in I guess I'm going to kind of age myself, but I grew up in the old, you know, just don't do it. Don't do drugs, the Reagan errors, you know?
Yeah.
But there was nothing about the why.
Yeah.
You know, like that's an important part. I feel that really helped with me talking to my kids was telling them why. Like, it's very easy to say no, but when you sit back and you go and you talk to them about, well, you know, don't throw a rock at a glass window. Don't do that. Okay, but why, Daddy? You know, because I said so. That doesn't answer the question, though. You know, well, what happens is you're going to throw a rock through the window, or you're going to take this drug and it's going to, or if you start drinking, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So just taking them down that path, you want to give them that vision, I feel, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I sit there, I have twin boys, they're 11, and I sit there and I'm like, ooh, he's shying away from things. Oh, he's kind of acting like I did at that age. Ooh, you know, what if, you know, I do that stuff with my kids all the time, and I have to talk myself down because it's like, what are you doing, dude? You're not going to predict the future. There is no science to this. If there was a science to this, then we would know it was coming before it came. But one of the main reasons were for my two children and Miley that I made the podcast. I didn't think it was going to turn into what it turned into. It was a diary to put it out there so they could one day watch it and hear in my words me being open and talking about it. And so I'm, you know, my one son was just on here basically saying goodnight, you know, just popping in real quick. But I feel like all I can do is like you said, Danny, is just be honest. I just have to be as open and honest as I can. You know, when you know, they're going to get to that age where you got to have the man talk, you know, I'm going to have that talk at some point too, when they decide, okay, I might have a wobble pop or two. You know, you just, I feel like if I could have expressed myself at a young age, like I can express myself now, or at least feel comfortable like that, I think that might have changed a lot of things. I'm with you. I don't know if it's disease, it's inherited. You know, I don't know, but I do feel like the best medicine that I've taken is just authenticity and honesty.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Dave said addiction is giving up giving up everyone for one thing. Recovery is giving up one thing for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Mhm.
100%.
When in the start of recovery, did you ever make friends with other people getting help at the same time as you? Oh, I got to answer this. I'm really glad you asked that, Lee. You always ask good questions. But I was actually, my sponsor told me, like, be careful. And you're brand new. And I was 24 years old. And, you know, I'm hanging out with the young people group in AA. And there's a lot of people going in and out, a lot of relapsing, right? And my sponsor was like, you know, the motherly type, like, you gotta be cool, like, you gotta be away from that if that starts happening. And so I listened to her and I detached. And I saw everyone else that were still associating with each other go down together. It's just, I will get someone, um, I will get fucked up before I will help someone get sober when I'm new like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like two new people going to on a 12-step call. It's not recommended, you know? That doesn't mean you can't be friends with people. I was friends with people, but as soon as they relapsed, or I could love from a distance, but I was not gonna risk my sobriety. But what about you guys? What's your experience with that?
Well, I'll hop in. So my first treatment, I made a really good friend, and we were going to be friends forever. And 6 months afterwards, I wasn't talking to him anymore. I went to the same treatment center twice, saw some guys twice through both stays. The same guys repeated. Oh, we're all great friends. We're going to stay in touch forever. Long story short, all those guys that I met, I don't talk to any of them anymore. And it's not because I don't like them. It's just, you're in recovery and you're in these vulnerable moments. So you make these connections. That's what your body wants. The opposite of addiction is connection. So you're making connection and connection and connection. I guess from my experience, those connections were important for me to get through to where I needed to get through. But I guess I lost I wanted to start making friends. I mean, I made friends throughout the whole thing, but it was funny that we're all going to be best friends. We're going to start sober living together. There's a lot of hopes and dreams when you first get into recovery. So keep those friends, but there's just be cautious with yourself. You know what I mean? Like you have to be strong eternally. You can't depend on all these people all the time, right? Because you're both going through something, and some of them work out. I called the one guy a brother up until he passed. He went back one more time and it didn't work. You know what I mean? So that was one out of all these people, these dozens and dozens of men that I spent time with. So when did you ever make friends? I mean, I was making friends all the time, but the reality was I learned by the second or the third and fourth treatment that these were good relationships to have while I'm there, but I wasn't going to try to put any of my foundation on these friendships.
Well said.
Yeah, and I'll just add, I always say, watch going down the rabbit hole, tread lightly. I wouldn't open up my heart all the way, right? Definitely not right away, but I just, just be there, be an example, be supportive. But I mean, it's great making friends, without a doubt. Go make friends. Go do sober activities. That's why it's all about people, places, and things, choices we make, the environment we're around, and it's just be cautious, because I mean, I know I've experienced it. I'm sure there's many people that are on right now that have experienced it, where they open their heart and they're like, wow, I wasn't seeing that coming, and it's tough. And then your sobriety, your recovery it's put in a very tough, you're put in a very tough position.
Yeah.
And I would definitely have a plan B, C, and D, just in case. Like, what happens if that were to happen? Like I want to be prepared for sure.
So the growth that went, and I'm sorry, Lindsay, but the growth that went on for
Seconds. I'll
Okay.
be back in 2 seconds. I just want to unlock something.
You're good.
So just to show, like, just to give another example. Okay. The second treatment I went to, every time we did like somebody would do their, like, last night, whatever, their little spiel, and we'd go around the room and say something. And that second treatment, every time somebody left, I cried. I cried every single time. It was so sad seeing them go. They were so important to me. And by the third time I went, I never cried. And then the fourth treatment I went, I absolutely never cried. I had no emotional attachment to anybody in there, because I had learned a little more and more and more. By the end of it, I was there for myself. I was there building for myself. Yeah, did I care about these people? Sure, I wanted to see them succeed. But I was so emotionally scattered that I was crying at every single person leaving every time they left that treatment. I was like, oh my God, man, he did so good. He's going to do so good. And then as the third and fourth one, And that's when it really happened. You know, I found out that I was there for myself. I took what I needed and left the rest. We've heard that before, right? And I was finally doing that.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, because I don't want to say I became jaded, but because people were always coming and going, and relapsing and not. And so someone said to me, walk over the dead bodies. I guess literally and figuratively, right? Because there's a lot of change in the people that are going to be in and out. And, same with clients over the years. I've had a lot of clients pass away and a lot of friends pass away that I got sober with. I'm still best friends with someone that I did meet in NA or AA. I'm best friends with a few of them, but we weren't in early recovery together, and so our relationship was built a little bit later, as we, 6 months, a year, I remember. This brings me into a segue that I could talk about. We could talk about relationships and early recovery.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's always a big thing, and it gets brought up quite often when I am doing a live stream. And so let me just move that. But it is like, they say don't get in a relationship if you're under a year, right? Well, however, it's obviously not somewhere said in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's just it's a nice suggestion, and it's there for a reason, if you ask me. Did I follow it? No. Did I pay for it? Yes. Did others pay for it? Even more so. At least, I'm gonna be honest, like 3 or 4 guys that I dated in under a year sober went out, and I had no thoughts or feelings about it. Didn't even occur to me like that I had a part in it. Like, it's their fault. They shouldn't have gotten attached to me. And like, because I was so fucked up, and a year, no, not even a year sober, like it's taken me years to get to be a little bit more stable, right? Emotionally balanced. But well, you guys know, if you follow me on X, that I say relationships have been the hardest thing for me in sobriety up until this day. The emotions associated with it, the rejection, everything like that. It's difficult to deal with as many years sober as I have, and as involved in recovery that I am, to where I had no chance in the beginning if to feel that. And so that's why a lot of us do go out. It's difficult to manage those feelings. And it's not just because if one falls, usually the other does too. But that's not the only reason, it's like, we don't know how to deal with emotions. I didn't, So what about you guys? You got any experiences with that?
Oh, I definitely do. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't even know where to start this. So yeah, I mean, I was dating somebody, like both of us went to treatment. We went to separate treatments, but they were like a couple towns apart. And obviously that was done on purpose. We planned that out. And both our therapists at the treatment center was like, guys, you can't do this. They actually brought us in as a couple and was like, this is not going to work. You have to you got to separate each other from each other and really do the work. You got to work on yourself. I got the whole speech, you're no good for her and she's no good for you if you aren't good to yourself. And they were 100% right. Did I listen? Absolutely not, because I want to say I had a fear that she was probably going to go and find somebody else or something. Like, that's what was going on in my head. That was my fear, was like, is she going to come back in a year? Is she going to like me, love me in a year? And so, and everything was going great. until it wasn't fun anymore, and then eventually she did relapse, and it went to holy hell after that. Yeah. And then we obviously, at that point we broke up. Thank God. I mean, I made sure that I kept my shit in check. I did what I had to do. I continued to do what I had to do out of treatment. But yeah, I don't recommend it. I know it's tough. And there's going to be people that just aren't going to listen like I didn't listen. And I get it. It's like sometimes you got to learn the hard way. Give it a shot. Like they say, you got to do your own research and development. But I mean, hey, if you could do it and you both are doing the right thing, you really are, you're doing what you're supposed to do for your recovery. You're honest with each other. Then, yeah, I mean, there's a great chance, but the statistics say otherwise. And, just make sure that, obviously, it always comes back to being authentic and honest with each other. It really is. It takes a lot of work, and you have to put your recovery first.
Yeah.
You have to put it first. If you put the other person first, I remember my therapist said, you ever hear somebody that says to you, you're my world, run. And I remember she said that to me, and I was like, oh God, that ain't good. So yeah, it was, I mean, I definitely would not do it again. I would not enter in a relationship like that. If well, thank God, I just, if I was in early recovery, knowing what I know now, I would not. I mean, I'm not going to burn myself twice.
I like what Kent said as well. I also saw relationships end when one or both get sober.
Yeah. I really, being in the rooms, I think I could count. I don't even think I'm just one hand. I think it's like a couple of fingers of couples that actually have been together for years.
Right.
Yeah.
My one of my treatment centers I did admissions for, we took couples. Yes, we took couples, and we took couples that had just met right before.
I'm surprised. Usually you try to separate them. Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
There's one advantage that I do believe, and when there's couples and they come in at the same time, say they've been together for a long time, I can understand a little bit more if, like, instead of one person just getting sober and the other person not being able to, like, maybe their insurance could only, like, sometimes the one's insurance and like the other person would get to come for free or something like that. And I thought that was cool. But other than that, like, and I would have couples in groups when I'm running groups, and it was wild. Like bickering and argue. It was like the craziest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not good.
I mean, if I could have.
Okay, ahead, Scott.
No, I was just gonna say, if I could have brought a friend to treatment, I would have went a long time ago, probably. Yeah. Not to make light of it, I'm just saying, like, I mean, it might get people in the door. So I mean, like, if there's places that would let couples come in, I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, that seems like, oh yeah, let's go together. Okay, and at least they're in the door. You know what I mean?
I mean, if they're married or if they've been in a relationship for a long time, I totally get that. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to mention that when we did talk to our therapist, and we told them, look, obviously we're not going to separate ourselves. So why don't you try to give us the tools to help us so we could succeed? Give it a 110% chance of success. So that's what they did. I forgot to mention that. I wanted to mention that because, that is something you could offer and talk to them. And it's like, look, we're obviously not going to separate. What can you do to help us? What kind of tools can you give us? What kind of advice? What's the treatment plan for something like this?
Yeah, exactly. instead of just turning you away and being like, it's got to be like this. Another thing I I saw, like, a lot of them would get into treatment anyways, and then they would go their separate ways, and, like, so who knows? It's whatever gets people in the door, like you said, it's I think is important, and
Mhm.
that when they get there, so
Yeah, and we were talking about relationships, like starting new relationships. I think
right.
that's what you were starting out with.
Exactly. Yeah, that's I always hear people say like you don't have shit to offer someone, when you're new. And I'm like, how rude. Like I was batshit crazy and I still am to a certain extent, you know? I'm being honest. So
Mhm.
I just don't think you can be that matter of fact, right? Like,
mhm.
you can find things where it happens. And so the phrase that I learned in one of the treatments that I really like is evidence would suggest that
Ooh,
that relationships early on is not a good idea.
truth. I like that. Yeah. I mean, have I seen it happen? Yeah. But what are you gonna do? And you can't tell anybody. I mean, you can, but I don't say anything to clients about it anymore. Like, it's not my opinion is or advice isn't really necessary, at all, because they're gonna do what they wanna do either way, and then am I gonna be your ally? Because once I say that it's a bad idea, they might not wanna trust me to get help for recovery, you know? And then Scott, will you read or someone read that? I'm losing.
uh, were you ever shocked when going for help and finding out that there was somebody that you knew was going there already? Because I went out at a therapy center a few hours ago, and 3 people there I went to school with.
Mm,
Wow.
yeah. I don't think I've ever experienced that. I probably,
Hmm.
hey, what are you doing here?
AA I have, but not a treatment center. And AA, like, that's happened quite a few times.
Oh yeah, that's happened there. Yeah, meetings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But not
But
treatment centers, I don't think I ever.
yeah.
The weirdest experience I had was when I started to get into recovery or wanting recovery. I never knew my great grandfather, and my great grandfather and great grandmother raised me. I never realized that he was an alcoholic, and then I found out this was a few years back, and then it all made sense. It was like, oh, that's why the men came over and sat in a room together, and the women went into another room together. Oh, wait a minute, that's a friggin' Serenity Prayer on the wall. So it wasn't in a treatment center that I had that experience, but it was in my own. They'd kept it so hush hush. I was like, oh my gosh, you're one. He was one too.
That's
But no, I
wild.
never met anybody in treatment like that. No.
What would it be like if you did? Let's think about it. I mean, I would think that it's. I mean, you're there. You're there for the same thing, you know. Um,
You're right.
I would, yeah. I mean, I'd probably just, hey, what's up? How are you doing? And just have that kind of conversation. And I wouldn't get into any specifics. I'm sure you're going to learn about sharing. When you're sharing, learn about what's going on in their life. I mean, it's pretty obvious that they're there for something that's possibly relatable.
Right.
And I would say probably just be respectful of their anonymity.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep waiting for. I'm a recovery coach, and I also help do the drops at work. And I keep waiting to see somebody that I knew or grew up with come walking in the door. You know what I mean? But if they did, I would be kind of happy for them in a way because that means they have a chance. You know.
Right. Lonnie said, do you ever find that not talking about drinking that talking about not drinking makes you want to drink? You guys got this.
We're talking about not drinking. Um, I'm pretty open about my recovery, but I don't think I ever sat back and I don't know if I've ever really sat back, to be honest with you. And to me, it sounds. Lonnie, if you could tell us, is it like white knuckling? That's the only thing I could think of is if I'm in that position, I know in my recovery as a sobriety, I've had some white knuckling moments. I was kind of off track, and I don't think I've ever been afraid. I probably talk too much about it.
Mhm.
I let everybody know. I feel like I let everybody know about it because I want other people to hold me accountable.
Yeah.
So I kind of like talk about it more because it's like, all right, well then, I want to be found out.
If I go to a smart session, everyone is talking about not drinking. It just makes me think about drinking. I have heard many people say that to me too.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, no, I get that now. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that I had that happen to me though, but I understand why it would happen for sure.
Yeah, I would think sometimes, like if I'm at a certain restaurant, I would definitely like, all right, if I was going to get Radizio at a Portuguese restaurant, the first thing that comes to mind is sangria. I would be like, wow, I remember I would have pictures of sangria with this. Or if I have a nice steak dinner at like Ruth Chris and they come by with the wine list, and it's like, like, oh, I would have one glass.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like wine wasn't my issue. It was having that one glass, but then going and getting a bottle of Jameson after.
Yeah.
That was what I did because it was like, all right, the race is on. But yeah, I would be thinking about that absolutely. There's times I think about how I used to be, my behaviors of what I used to do, and I would definitely think,
Yeah.
there was you hear commercials all the time, and you start thinking about, wow, I remember I would go home. Put it this way. I remember when I would cut the grass, and every time I cut the grass and I was done, I used to ring the doorbell, and my wife at the time would bring me 2 beers. I'd fire one down, and then I would nurse the other one. And I always had my bathing suit on, and it was over the summer, and the pool was open. I would dive right into the pool. So every time, for a long time after that, when I would cut the grass, when I was in, being in recovery, when I cut the grass, next thing I know, I would start thinking about that, like the old ring the doorbell.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, you're going to have those stories. Things going on in your head for sure with bringing back old memories.
Mm-hmm. Especially if like I did have sometimes I would hear someone bring up a story in an A meeting that would kind of trigger me to remember stuff, like maybe war stories. That's why I don't like war stories and meetings and stuff, But yeah, yeah. What did Kent said the new people reminded me of the struggle at the beginning, helped me stay on the path. This brings me to something that I know Scott and I really have a passion for. You know where this is probably going, but new people sometimes are told to sit down and shut up.
Yeah.
And to put the cotton take the cotton out of their ears and put it in their mouth.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
No, I don't either.
I don't like it at all.
Right.
And I go off about it. But when I hear people that are brand new, I want to hear them. Like, I don't understand. Don't you want to hear them, like, what's going on? It reminds me
Yeah.
that, oh my God, like,
Mhm.
this could be you again, Lindsay, if you don't keep up what you're doing, it could be a tool. So,
I could see how that is something, when you're a kid and you're learning about life, and dad says, you need to keep your mouth shut and your eyes and ears open. But that's a different conversation. In the rooms, I need to hear what's going on in somebody. I got to remember the 30 days, the grinding it out for the 30 days, the 60 days, the 90 days, you know, those first 90 days are crucial. And I need to remind myself all the time. So I love hearing those stories. I love seeing the faces of people picking up their chips at, it's awesome.
yeah, it's the best. It's that recovery feeling, that recovery magic that I talk about. Like, I love that shit. Like,
Yeah.
seeing new people, like the light come on in their eyes. It's like, oh my God, like that's that shit, man. That's why I'm here. Um,
Mhm.
so I don't really understand a lot of the things that are said, but whatever. We get pushed back over and over again, but it's
I get, I think, I get why they say it sometimes. I'll give you an example on my own experience. I
mhm,
went to a work thing outside of work time, but it was a hockey game. And I went with my boss and two very high up, everybody know what Dow is, but Dow in Midland, Michigan, kind of a big deal. And there were two reps from that. And I was 2 or 3 half pints in before we even got to dinner and ordered a beer and then snuck into the bathroom and slammed another half pint. Long story short, I ended up eating my steak with my bare hands and just a complete, slobbery mess, right? So completely embarrassed, my boss and, with these respectable people, and Miley had to come and pick me up. Yeah. So
you're
that
the
was embarrassing. I went in, I had to sit down with my boss and his boss, and they got a good laugh out of me eating the steak with my bare hands. And, I agreed to talk to a counselor and this other thing. And I was like, now this had just happened a few days ago. And I said, I would love to talk to the guys about what happened, and give let them know, the dangers of drinking or whatever. And they're like, whoa, 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 Turbo. They didn't say that, but get some time under your belt before you're going and giving a bunch of advice. So
yeah.
I have to assume that's where take the cotton out of your ears and put it in your mouth type thing came from, where people coming in thinking they know everything after 2
Point.
weeks in the program.
It has
But
to.
I think what some of the people do is they take these things out of context, and all of a sudden now, like, well, now, because I've been told, I don't know how many times, especially since I started my podcast, was, don't you think you should get a little more time before you start getting on here and talking about that? And it's like, well, I'm not instructing anybody to do anything, for number one. I'm
Yeah.
giving my story and my perspective on things. So if I was on here trying to say, you need to do this, you need to do this, then I get what you're saying. So I think it started in a good place, maybe, but as everything in the world, it gets, the jerks, they take it over and they turn it
Let me-
into a power thing.
yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on how someone, like, I don't like that either. When someone new starts doing that, but I don't know if it's like my ego doesn't like it, or, because it's like,
Like I said earlier, when I went to those first few meetings and the guys would go around the table and they'd talk and they'd all look at me, you know, when they were done sharing, and it's like, oh, I got to say something.
mhm.
They were giving me an opportunity to speak. I didn't know what to say. I was scared and terrified, but I think they wanted to hear it. They were like, "Ooh, let's get this good, tasty reminder, right?" Because they say the newcomers keep us sober. So that's the truth. So I think we need to hear from them, sure. And if they start going on, well, I memorized the steps in these last 3 days since being here, and let me tell you, this is what Bill meant by this and this. Then, but I just, it's been so, I've never seen that. You know what I mean? So like, but anyway, I just remember myself doing that with my bosses, and they're like, whoa, dude. Okay, you don't need to. We're not going to put you 3 days sober you in front of a bunch of people and talk about how great sobriety is, or give a
Love.
lecture.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, what about the early recovery question? Like, isn't that the question, Scott? Like, what is early recovery and what is not? Isn't that what would people say? That
Yeah, if you're in early recovery, and then I always ask them, what does that mean?
yeah. What is it?
When do you eclipse from early recovery into just recovery? And then when do you become an old timer? You know what I mean? Like, take the labels away and just, we're in recovery. And if that's just how I feel about it.
Mhm.
See, Lonnie, Lisa, that day that you decided to get sober, did you feel either happy or scared?
I want to say both.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I think I'd say both, and angry and emotional of many different magnitudes. Yeah, it was. I want to say that I wasn't happy at first because my relationship with, what I was, my substances, the drinking, and I was afraid that I was going to lose touch with that person. It gave me that confidence. That's what I got, liquid confidence. And so I felt like I was going to lose that,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a lot of emotions going on in that first couple of weeks, that first couple of months. I mean, I related. It was, for me, it was, where was I bringing my beer today? Was it going fishing?
Yeah.
Was I going to a game? Was it barbecue? Was it, where was I taking it today? And it was, so when that was being taken away from me, it was like my heart was broken. So
Yeah.
I would say definitely had that fear.
Yeah.
I would say definitely was scared. Yeah.
Yeah. Because and I don't know, happy was later on down the road. I think when I ended up in jail, there was some relief because I didn't have to do it. And when I ended up in treatment, there was some relief because I didn't have to do it. I was angry and scared because my life revolved around getting the drink, hiding the drink, drinking the drink, re-hiding the drink, re-getting the drink. You know what I mean? That was my life. And it was like, what? Like, my life felt empty kind of without this whole process, like this whole, like, this procedure that I had to do on a daily basis. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it pissed me off that I can't just do what are you going to, I can beat this. Okay. And then it's like, okay, no, I can't. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think scared, angry. It was more relief in the beginning, like walking into the doors of treatment, or, I remember that relief, like, oh my God, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to worry about this today. I can just exist for a little bit. And that's all I was doing in the first little bit. But yeah, yeah.
So true. Yeah. Yeah. It's like I just didn't want to have that struggle. It was like I remember the relief of, like, I don't have to go find money today. I don't have to go do this. Like, I can wake up. I love treatment. Like, I loved it. I went to treatment where Danny's at right now. He's not in treatment, you guys, but he works at treatment centers. So, but it's so nice over there. It's on the beach. Like, I was so comfortable and at home. I love that. And when I worked there too, it was like home, man. But I remember when I was there, it was the first time I ever felt serenity, and I didn't know what it was. Someone in AA told me that's what it was. I sat up in the bed one day and I was like, oh my God, like, that static is gone. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, this is so weird. Like, It's like I wasn't thinking about something in the future. I wasn't like thinking I gotta get up and go do this. It was like everything was just quiet and like chill. And I never felt that before. Like all the static had stopped. It was fucking crazy. And you know, like that was the best feeling of relief. When I started having these glimpses of what sobriety could be like and feel like, it gave me hope, man, and it kept me going. Yeah, but it is scary. But you know what? I was scared of staying the same. As cliche as it sounds, I was really fucking scared. I knew that I didn't want to. It was either I was going to die or I was going to continue to live my life miserable like that. And I don't know which one is worse, to be honest.
I was just reading this last thing. I'm gonna hop off after I just comment on this.
Yes.
If that's okay.
Yeah, we all can, because I'm gonna go to sleep too.
Oh, it's way past your bedtime. He said, Kent said, for me, not drinking was like losing my best friend. Yeah, like I always talk about that relationship with my friend because it was my friend. It was always there for me. I just had to go pick him up, you know what I mean, and bring him home. And I was absolutely like, I literally was an abuser to alcohol, right? They say you abuse alcohol. It was literally that. Like, alcohol could get me drunk, and it did that perfectly every time. And he's like, I got you, bro. I got you drunk. All right, we're drunk. Then I'm like, hey, buddy. Can't see my black cup probably because of the background, but I said, hey, I want more. And I drink it. And he's like, dude, I can't do any more for you. And I'm like, you are going to do more for me right now because I'm going to drink more of you. So give me more. And I would drink more. And he's like, dude, I can't do anything else for you. And so I kept forcing my friend to do more and more for me, abusing him and treating him like crap. I mean, the poor bastard was just sitting there on the shelf, right? And he did everything that I asked him to do. He got me to that point. He just couldn't do any more. And I'd be damned if I wasn't pissed off. It's just like that. Love me more, woman. You know, give me more, woman. You know, in a relationship. You know what I mean? It was that shitty. That's how I treated alcohol. And maybe I need to make amends with the bottle one day for being such a dick to it. You know what I mean? But it was it was nice meeting you, Danny, and thanks for having me on, Lindsay. But I'm gonna
nice meeting you, Scotty.
We're gonna get off too. So Danny is gonna come on and talk one day, and tell his story from copper to
cop to con.
Cop to con, baby. Yeah, and so I love you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight and watch me ramble for a little bit while I was alone. I appreciate your company and I love you too, guys. And we will see you soon, maybe tomorrow.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. You're going to come on more.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.